From the woman who won't leave him because she loves him, to the siblings that just got in a fist fight, to the man that won't submit that police report in order to honor his manhood, it is no question that domestic violence has had a detrimental impact on our communities near and far. That's why State Attorney Aisha Braveboy is hosting her 7th annual Not One campaign against domestic violence in the perfect month, October, Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So today I had the opportunity to interview Aisha, some resilient survivors, as well as advocates, in order to equip you with the tools you need to be able to identify signs of domestic violence, take preventative measures, learn some coping mechanisms, and join in the fight against domestic violence. Here's how it went. Okay, State Attorney Aisha Braveboy, can you share with us the story behind launching the Not One campaign and how your personal experience with the loss of your cousin led you to jump into action against domestic violence?
Thank you so much for asking that question. I launched this initiative back in 2017 when I was running for state's attorney. I thought it was very important for me to let the community know what issues were going to be important to me as state's attorney. And domestic violence was at the top of the list.
Yeah.
I lost my 26-year-old cousin, Nicole Jordan Porter, to domestic violence. She was stabbed 16 times by her husband.
Right.
And ultimately, she succumbed to her injuries and died in the hospital surrounded by family. It has really impacted our family. It impacted her small children. I'm proud to say that they're both in school doing well. Her daughter recently graduated from college and she's pursuing dreams that I'm sure her mother had for her.
Right.
And while it is true that they are successful, they still miss their mom.
Right.
And I don't want any family to have to go through that. And so that's why I launched the initiative 7 years ago. And you were there, Trinity. And I want to thank you for doing an impromptu song at that event.
Right.
That was so emotional. You had everyone in tears.
Right.
Your voice is absolutely beautiful. And it is just incredible to see you as a young woman now coming back to this event, but in a different kind of capacity, interviewing me this time. So thank you so much for being here.
No, thank you for giving me that opportunity. And I do agree with you. No family should go through that. So I just want to say how much I appreciate you for taking the initiatives you've taken. I know that you were definitely instrumental in one initiative in fighting for stronger strangulation laws in Annapolis, right?
Yes.
Can you tell me a little more about what challenges you may have faced in getting this passed, and also how has this made an impact on the community?
Absolutely. Well, back in 2020, I led an initiative to make strangulation a first-degree felony offense in Maryland. Prior to that, it had been considered essentially a misdemeanor second-degree assault, kind of akin to a slap or a punch, or even a threat of violence. But strangulation is something a little different. Strangulation is the most lethal form of domestic violence. Individuals who are strangled are far more likely to end up being killed by their abuser.
Right.
So we knew that this form of violence had to be given a more serious kind of look through the criminal justice system. And so we were able to bring the voices of women from Prince George's County to Annapolis to tell their stories, as well as the fierce advocacy of myself and my team and others throughout the state. And we were able to get strangulation to become a first-degree felony, which now means that I can ask for up to 25 years.
Okay.
When someone commits that offense. It means the sentencing guidelines, the range in which judges will sentence individuals, are much higher. And in fact, recently, I was able to get an 18-year sentence against an individual who strangled his girlfriend. And she was so grateful because she said now that her son can grow up without having an abusive father in the home, and that he has now a chance to grow up healthy and strong. While he saw the abuse, he also saw his mom, stand up for herself, and that's so important. And I'm so grateful to have been a part of her victory.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So also in addition to that, you recently launched a collaborative
Yes.
in Prince George's County to end family violence. So what key factors were instrumental in getting this up and running?
Mm-hmm.
And how does this program differ from other domestic violence programs?
Yeah, so I think when we think of domestic violence, we automatically think of intimate partner violence. We think of people who are in a couple relationship who are not related to each other by blood, but have come together and have decided to either have children together, get married, or be in a domestic partnership.
Right.
That's what we think of.
Right.
But what we noticed during the pandemic and still today is that we're seeing an increase in violence amongst people who are blood relatives.
Right.
Whether it's parents or children, siblings, and sometimes step families as well, where there's tension in the household, where we're seeing substance abuse or mental health problems, which lead people to not be able to cope when there is friction. And then that friction turns into violence, and in some cases, the ultimate tragedy.
Right.
I mean, my office right now is prosecuting a case against a mother, a woman who is a mother, but she's accused of killing her own mother, and asking her daughter to help her dismember the body and also grill, unfortunately, that body to get in hopes of being able to cover up their crime. And, those cases, I mean, they tear at the heartstrings, they break apart families.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
No one should be unsafe in their own home.
Because domestic simply means at home. And I think a lot of people forget that. Even I know that when we first launched your first one, it was this emphasis on that it can happen to men as well.
It can happen to men.
Women, same-sex relation.
Yep.
So that's really good.
So this collaborative is a partnership between myself, the Office of the Sheriff. We have many nonprofits, medical providers such as Metalworks that provide mental health and substance abuse care, because we know that there's a lot of mental health issues going on in our community, but we also cannot accept violence.
Right.
And if we know that someone is suffering with a mental health issue, we need to get help for them.
Right. And so the collaborative does have a strong emphasis on prevention.
Yes.
So what strategies and resources does it offer?
So number one, we have a hotline, 988. If you are not in immediate danger. So if you are in immediate danger, please call 911. Call 911. You don't want to try to defend yourself if someone is attacking you and not call for help. You can try to defend yourself, but you also need to call for help, because it's really important that people not take and not just say, well, this is my family member, so I don't want to get them in trouble. Okay, it's not getting them in trouble when they're committing a crime against you and you want to get them help. The best way to do it is call 911.
Right.
If you don't have an imminent need for law enforcement, but you want to talk to someone about available resources in the area, call 988. 988 is a 24/7 hotline. They will connect you to local resources. We also have a lot of nonprofits, including Metalworks. We have the Family Justice Center. We have the House of Ruth, and other entities are joining on. But you can reach all of them by going to our website that we launched, www.sayhelppgc.org. So that's www.sayhelppgc.org. You can visit that website to get help. And hashtag #SayHelp is our hashtag to get to us.
Okay, cool. Hashtag #SayHelp.
SayHelp.
Thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Trinity.
I'm here with Mr. James Oxley, and I really want the audience to understand just how important this is for you. Can you tell me a little bit about your testimony and your experience with domestic violence?
Sure. The reason this is important to me, one, I've seen domestic violence growing up. And, when you're growing up, you don't know what it really is. You think it's an argument. However, I never seen really domestic violence against kids against their parents.
Right.
And this is a personal experience to me, where our 15-year-old biological son, around towards the end of 2021, I could start seeing changes and things in him, and it progressed from there. And we started taking his iPad and looking through it, and he was living a double life.
Right.
He was a good kid. We had him Chop Jr. He was a little, socialite butterfly, and just a happy kid. And then I could start seeing changes when we took his iPad and things away.
Okay.
And we realized he was getting high and doing things at school, going to school. But to keep it short, in January 6, 2022, is when I experienced for the first time ever in history, our own biological son taking the life of my wife,
Right.
27 years, killing my 8-year-old, and then shooting me twice when I tried to stop him. We did see changes in him, and I tried to get him help.
Right.
We tried to get him help, and he went to stay with her mother for a minute, but the help never came.
Right. And so you've experienced, a very difficult, traumatic experience with domestic violence. How has this changed the way you view it and domestic violence as a whole?
Well, for me, people may not understand, but I'm a child of the Most High God. I've been saved all my life.
Amen.
And for a time such as this, God had this peace that surpassed all understanding that came upon me when it happened. And yet, it now allows me to tell the story to help somebody else, to be transparent and not to hide and shield and, just try to cover up because it's embarrassing. It's not embarrassing.
Right.
Mental illness can strike anywhere, anytime, at any moment.
It can.
So it just helps me to lend my story to possibly help to save the life of someone else.
Okay. And so since this incident took place, what has your relationship been like with your son?
Well, we're all children of the Most High God, right? And we have all sinned and come short of the glory of God, and God just forgives us and forgives us and forgives us.
Right.
So the day it happened, I was laying on a gurney. I was in the hospital. Fox 5 called me. Sarah Fox called me. I got the detective there. I'm talking. I'm just out of it. And one of the things I said was, I love him and I forgive him. So, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's still my child.
Right. Do you guys still talk from time to time?
No. Her mother goes to visit him. I'm not there yet. But yet, before he got sentenced and everything like that, I asked the judge, can I, say something to him? They allowed that. They never, ever allowed it. So when I heard,
Okay.
the deputy allowed me to speak to him, and I told him I love him, get himself together, get back in this Bible, and I forgive you.
Right. And do you feel like he was really receptive to that when you said that, or how did he react?
No, he was receptive to that, but and yet I know that he's still in a false reality that this never happened.
Right.
He's still in that false reality that he didn't do it, but he received what I said. So.
Right. Okay. And so, coping, right? I know that definitely probably was a big part of, life after this experience. What coping strategies do you recommend to people who are, survivors of domestic violence?
And that's my pet peeve. That's what I always use, coping.
Coping?
Yeah.
How have you coped?
So coping, and that's how it allows you to get through tragedies. Because the tragedy that happened, me seeing my wife get shot in front of me and my 8-year-old son, it plays out every minute, every second, every day, every hour, every year in my mind like a movie.
Like you see it vividly.
Vividly. I just see it vividly.
Right.
So it's not going to go away. The trauma and the tragedy is not going to go away. And what you just said, how do you cope with it? For me, it's God.
Amen.
Spirit is just being connected to God and just knowing that, everything in life is temporary. But yet I know that God has a plan for us.
Right.
And I know that he loves us. And I don't blame anybody or anything. Mental illness is mental illness. So I cope by also lending my story, helping others, talking to others, and helping others get through. I have people call me and say, people I went to school with say, you saved my life. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It was like, no, you literally saved my life. They were mothers
Just
and
from
daughters.
telling your testimony.
Yeah, it was like the mother died and the daughter wanted to commit suicide.
Right.
And she would say, when I seen your story and I seen how resilient you are and you out here and you just loving everybody, it helped me to know that I can go on.
Right.
So I tell other people, if you don't have that spiritual connection, find a way to cope. Talk to somebody that you can trust, get a mental health doctor, psychiatrist, somebody you can talk to that can help you get through the trauma and the tragedy and cope with what you're going through, because it's never going to go away until we no longer exist in this world and our brains are no longer active.
Right.
It's going to be with us forever.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I think that was all really great information. I think even just now, you may have saved a lot of people's lives.
Seriously.
So I guess we're going to encourage you all to share your testimonies and save someone else's life.
I encourage that strongly.
Okay. Thank you for meeting with me today. It's been a true blessing.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, I'm here with a brave survivor, Sheila Malloy Hall, and I would like to know just a little bit of your testimony when it comes to domestic violence.
Yes. Domestic violence entered my life about 20 years ago through a marriage. And with my abuser, I experienced every form of domestic violence, from physical, psychological, emotional, and financial. 20 years ago, I was brutally beaten by my domestic violence partner, who strangled me and left me for dead. But I was able to find my car keys. Both eyes were shut, completely closed, find my car keys and drive myself to safety, made it to my parents' home.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so I know that's not the only thing you've overcome. You're very resilient. And you talk about that in your book here, right?
Yes.
Singular and suicide.
Yeah. So I talk about everything that I've experienced. Not only did I experience domestic violence, but I also experienced childhood trauma, childhood molestation. And so when I got into this marriage of domestic violence, it brought all of that full circle. So much trauma that I had experienced in childhood is actually a part of domestic violence. So all of that came full circle in this marriage.
That's true.
Yeah.
And so what advice do you have someone who is maybe going through similar domestic violence experiences yourself, or and they want to overcome it?
Well, I experienced it, I survived it, and I'm thriving. And because of that, I started my nonprofit called Healing to Grace. Okay. Healing to Grace deals with the aftermath of domestic violence. Okay. And what that particularly means is that I did the work. Domestic violence leaves you with so much trauma that you have to do the work in order to survive. Doing the work means doing therapy, because domestic violence is rooted in the stigma of shame, and it leaves you completely broken. So you've got to do the work. And doing the work may mean doing it for several years.
Right.
Someone who experienced domestic violence many, many years ago, I still do therapy. Right. Last year, I lost my son. A couple of months ago, I was diagnosed with a rare form of ovarian cancer.
Okay.
So those experiences resurfaced the trauma that I went through.
Right.
But because of my resilience to ask for help, to bring domestic violence continuously to the light,
right,
I am now thriving. And so I want any survivor to know that you don't have to live in that shame,
right,
but you can ask for help and you can survive domestic violence.
Okay. And lastly, let me just circle back really quickly. I know you talked a little bit about Healing to Grace.
Yes.
Can you talk about some of the supports that it does provide for people dealing with the aftermath?
Yeah. So one of the support things that we do with Healing to Grace is that we have women conferences. So I bring women together all over, powerful women speakers who have experienced not just domestic violence, but maybe molestation, whatever their trauma is. We come together in a beautiful setting such as this, and we show that whatever you've gone through, that you've got a group of women that will support you, that you can come through that. And so we've done this conference. We started in 2015. I've had one every year.
Right.
And I'm going to continue to have these women empowerment conferences because I want women to know. Most people say to me that I don't look like what I've been through.
Right.
You're talking about someone who was beaten, beaten, unrecognizable, strangled to death, left for dead.
Yeah.
And look at me now. And there's that saying that you don't look like what you've been through. And I don't look like what I've been through, but it's because I did the work.
Right. I love that. You're going to have to give me an invite to one of those conferences. But outside of that, it's been a pleasure speaking.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Sheriff Nichols. What brings you out here to this event?
Well, what brings me out here to this event is that the Office of the Sheriff has been partnering with domestic violence for a long time. We have done our Purple Light Nights for the month of October. As you can see, I wear the Domestic Violence Awareness Badge. We wear that every month in the month of October. And it's a serious incident, a serious issue in our community. And we're here to make sure that we do something to curb and prevent it from continuing to exist.
Right. I know there's a lot of common misconceptions about domestic violence. In your professional experience, do you see men dealing with issues of domestic violence?
Yes, you'd be surprised at how many men deal with domestic violence that are actually victims.
Right.
Unfortunately, they're too ashamed to come forward because they feel as though they're not masculine enough. Therefore, their voices go unheard as well. So it's just as many men that are victims of domestic violence. Yes.
Right. And so also something we're also focusing on is talking about how it's not just between intimate partners. In general, what advice do you have for anyone in that household where there's probably ongoing domestic violence?
What I would recommend and always say is that you have to say something. You can't get the help and the assistance that's needed if no one knows. I understand that some people like to suffer in silence, but that only makes things worse. We have to make sure that we communicate. There are resources available and there are people that are always willing to help. But if no one knows, we won't be able to do anything.
To do anything at all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, Sheriff Nichols. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you, sir.
Hi, Mayor Cross. It's a pleasure to see you again at this amazing event. I would like to know what brought you out here today to support such a good initiative.
Well, you know what? Domestic violence is taking off in our community in Prince George's County, but not only in Prince George's County, across the state of Maryland, and you can couple that with human trafficking. It's been so bad that we actually had to pass legislation in the 446 legislative session to combat human trafficking in the state of Maryland. It's the second largest crime in our state. And you know what couples with that? Domestic violence. And one of the key things that I'm associated right now is the state's attorney's Citizen Academy. So I am actually the first elected official to go through the Citizen Academy, I'm happy to say. So as a trend maker and a groundbreaker, we're hoping to get more elected officials into the state's attorney's Citizen Academy. But domestic violence hits home, and it doesn't have a name, a character, and it doesn't matter what gender or what race or what cultural diaspora you come from. It is a senseless, quiet crime, and that's what we're here today. Break the silence, #say help.
Right. Something that is a really big focus today is trying to get people to understand that it's not just about domestic violence between intimate couples, but also within the family as a whole. Why do you think it's so important for people to have that understanding?
You know what? And this is the thing. There's safety in silence, but the problem with domestic violence, it lives in silence. And so as a family, we are seeing since COVID-19 an uptick, if you will, of family lack, the household discussions that we are not having anymore because technology took off in the second wave of the technology age. Right. And so you've got everybody from grandma to the brand new babies on the internet. They're exposed to things that they shouldn't be exposed to, which is also giving our youth an opportunity for further disenfranchisement.
Right.
So I think this is a wake-up call. This message that we're putting on right now with the state's attorney's initiative, no more is what we're saying. We are going to #say help. And it's so important to recognize that it doesn't matter what your family makeup, what your family gender, what your family race ideology is. Right? Everybody's under stress.
Right.
When you're under stress, you're under pressure. And the finances is a big piece of why domestic violence happens. And even beyond the finances piece is that piece of appreciation, not only in self, but your appreciation in your place in the world.
Right.
This is where hope stands to help us.
Right. Thank you. And Mayor Cross, do you have anything else that you'd like to add?
Yeah, you know, I want everybody out there listening to this message to hear this and hear this clearly. There is no judgment in admitting and speaking up. This is the problem. When you don't speak up, then the judgment comes because self-doubt and the isolation is more punishment than asking for help.
Right.
We have DTX. We have other mental health therapeutic providers that are out there. The reason they're out there is to help people move past whatever's got them blocked and held down. Remember this, it is not an embarrassment to ask for help. Many of our returning soldiers, myself, 5 combat tours to war, Iraq, Afghanistan, Kuwait, Turkey, and the global war on terrorism in Philippines. One of the problems that we had was getting the service members familiar with asking for help.
Right.
And that's why PTSD has now become a national priority, because we recognize that those hidden demons are in the silence. So today, my final word to you is to hashtag move the mission forward by hashtag say help.
That's all too common of an issue. So you heard it here. Ask for help. Thank you, Mayor Cross.
Don't be afraid to ask for help, ever.
Dr. Sutherland, first and foremost, what brings you to an event like this?
Sure. So I'm the founder of Hidden Treasure Incorporated. It's a nonprofit that empowers survivors of childhood sexual abuse and the people who love them with resources to help them navigate their healing journey. And what we found is that there are similarities and linkages between childhood sexual abuse survivors and domestic violence survivors. And so we want to make sure that regardless of their situation, survivors have resources that they need to heal.
Right, which is very, very important.
Yes.
I will state that I am a teacher
Okay.
and I do educate a lot of brown girls.
Awesome.
So I know you have a book
Yes.
that's
yes.
a letter to them specifically.
Actually, the letters is actually to the brown girl and the adult woman.
Okay.
Yes, so the title of the book is Letters to My Brown Girls, 4 Phases to a Liberated Life Beyond Childhood Sexual Abuse.
Right.
And it's to help the adult woman navigate that healing space where they can acknowledge their truth of what happened to them as children.
Okay.
And help them forgive themselves for how they treated themselves.
Wow.
And then transition past their survival tactics that they created to healthier habits, and then being reborn into a life with passion and purpose.
Okay, that is amazing.
Thank you.
That is a issue that all too often happens in our community.
Yes.
Also, I know you do have a meditation room set up for that.
Yes. So what we found is that a lot of survivors of trauma, whether it's military war veterans or anything like that, people get triggered by certain words, by smells, by events. And so we wanted to bring a calming space here that allows people to kind of calm down, reground themselves so that they can go back to the event and take in whatever resources and information that's here being offered.
Okay, so that's beautiful. Do people need a room to be able to have these coping strategies?
No, they don't. Some people like to just go to parks.
Okay.
Some people like to just sit under a tree with a blanket or sit in a corner on their favorite couch with some tea. And just kind of just relax and just breathe, because sometimes people just do not take the time out to just breathe.
Right. Okay. Okay. And do you know of any other possible quick coping mechanisms?
Sure.
That people could use?
Sure. I would say number 1, 4, 5, 8 breathing technique, where you breathe in 4, hold it for 5, and breathe out, count of 8.
Okay.
That helps kind of calm down the body, helps you kind of regulate your breathing whenever you're triggered.
Okay.
Another one of mine is just creating like your favorite YouTube playlist or music playlist. That helps calms you down when you at work and somebody that have triggered you.
Okay.
Or you're at home and some kids have triggered you. So having your playlist set up that allows you to kind of meditate.
Okay. Can we try that 4, 5, 8 really quick? Can you walk me through that?
Sure. So breathe in 4 seconds. Breathe in. Hold it. Just slowly breathe out.
Telltale. Yeah.
Breathe it out. That help regulates.
Okay,
Awesome.
that was very, very relaxing, actually.
Thank
Do
you.
you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, well, yeah, for us, we offer a free I Am Remarkable workshop
Okay.
where it teaches people not only how to breathe, but it also teaches them self-promotion skills.
Right.
Because a lot of survivors, whether domestic violence or sexual assault, they struggle with finding the value that they bring to themselves, to their career. And so we help them navigate that by giving them the skills and a platform to use it. And it's free on the first Wednesday of every month via Zoom. And so you can sign up via hiddentreasure.org, which is our nonprofit. Hidden is HIDN. Treasure is TREZHER.org.
So that was hiddentreasure.org?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. So I'm really excited to see what we got going on back there.
I'm excited to show you.
So I'll see you in just a little bit.
Awesome.
Okay.
See you then.
All right, we're back here in the meditation room with Dr.
Yes.
Sutherland.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, one, I almost wanted to take my shoes off. Like, I almost wanted to do that.
Yeah.
But walk me through, if somebody walks back here, what can we do together? How can we meditate?
Sure. So when someone walks back, they just want to relax. Then sometimes I'll give them a meditation card.
Okay.
And these are just different techniques to kind of help them just really sit and focus on themselves.
Okay, and this one says forgive. That's a really, really big thing. That's something we struggle with.
Remember, forgiveness is not for them. Forgiveness is for you.
Right, it's for yourself.
Yes, it's
Nobody wants to walk around with animosity on their
Oh
heart.
my God. It's so much more to life than living life and being happy and not worrying about everything else that everybody else has done.
Right.
You have to learn how to navigate those emotions.
Right. So this says, take a moment today, close your eyes, remember someone who has hurt you, caused you real emotional damage. I love this. Today is the day you're going to forgive them. Ooh, we are commanding. Okay, today. Holding on to negative feelings it's only treating yourself badly. Breathe deep and exhale the bad feeling inside you. Let it go. Okay, let me think about somebody. Okay, so I'm going to practice if you don't mind. That breathing really works. I'm sorry. That breathing really works. Hold on, one more. All right. I feel a lot better. I feel a lot lighter.
Oh, awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for the experience.
Yeah, so typically they come back, get them a card, or just talk to them. Sometimes some people just want you to just have a listening ear.
Okay.
So we do that as well, just talking to them.
So if somebody just wants to talk to you about anything that's on their heart, they can come back here and talk to you?
Yeah.
Okay. And you'll just listen.
Just listen.
That's beautiful.
Thank
we all
you.
definitely need a friend that listens. So I'll be giving you my number if you don't mind.
No problem. I love teachers.
Okay. Really? I love people who help me feel better. So we're both in the same dynamic.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming back. Like I said, we have a lot of affirmation on the floor.
Okay.
Try to make sure that, when people look down, they can find things to make them lift their heads up.
Right. And let me tell y'all, this floor, it says, I am worthy. I am healing. Oh, I release my fears. And the final one down there, hard to read.
I release my fears.
Oh, same thing.
Yes.
I release my fears twice. Okay. Love to see it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming by.
We are absolutely committed to working with an entity called 988. I really want you to know that number. If you are dealing with an issue, if it's not an immediate need for police assistance, please call 988. It's advertised as a suicide and crisis prevention or crisis hotline, but they also can address the issue of family violence. And they will connect you to local providers who can assist you in addressing some of your immediate needs.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. But if it's one thing you take from this, remember, do not be afraid to share your testimony. It might save someone. So get involved, make a difference, be the change. And remember, if you or a family member are in need of immediate support, always call 911. But outside of that, if it's not immediate, if it's not a threat, you can always dial 988. That is the Maryland Domestic Violence Hotline. I'm Trinity Carpenter, also known as T, the Blessed MC, reporting for PRTV. Thank you.